The lightning genius. On a quiet evening in September 2002, Alonzo Clemens was struck by lightning while walking across a parking lot in Denver, Colorado. The bolt should have killed him. Instead, it did something far stranger. It turned him into a math genius whose abilities go against every principle of brain science we understand. Before the lightning strike, Clemens was an average student who struggled with basic math and had never shown any particular skill for mathematics. He worked as a maintenance worker, lived a quiet life, and described numbers as just confusing squiggles that had no meaning to him. The lightning changed everything in ways that science cannot explain. When Clemens woke up in the hospital 3 days later, his brain had been completely rewired. He could instantly perform complex math calculations that would challenge professional mathematicians. He could factor large prime numbers in his head, calculate square roots to dozens of decimal places, and solve differential equations without any formal training in calculus. But his abilities went far beyond rapid calculation. Clemens had developed what brain doctors call numerical synesthesia. He could see mathematical relationships as geometric patterns and colors. Prime numbers appeared to him as specific shades of blue. Perfect squares showed up as golden spirals. Complex equations revealed themselves as three-dimensional structures that he could mentally rotate and manipulate. Dr. Daryl Treffitt, the world's leading expert on savant syndrome, studied Clemens extensively and found his case completely unprecedented. Brain scans revealed that the lightning had created new neural pathways that connected regions of his brain that aren't normally linked. The electrical activity in his mathematical processing centers was unlike anything seen in typical human brains or even other savants. What made Clemens' case even more extraordinary was the precision of his abilities. When tested by mathematicians at the University of Colorado, he could multiply 7-digit numbers instantaneously and provide answers that were accurate to the last decimal place. He developed novel approaches to complex problems that professional mathematicians later confirmed were not only correct, but more elegant than conventional solutions. Independent neurological testing confirmed that Clemens' brain was operating in ways that violated established principles of neural processing. The speed of his calculations suggested information and processing rates that exceeded the known firing speed of human neurons. His mathematical insights appeared to emerge fully formed without the trial-and-error process that characterizes normal problem-solving. Most puzzling was his explanation of how the abilities worked. Clemens described mathematical problems as conversations with numbers that revealed their solutions directly. He claimed he didn't calculate answers. He simply asked the numbers what they wanted to be, and they told him. This suggested a form of mathematical intuition that operates outside conscious reasoning. The lightning strike had somehow activated dormant neural networks that gave Clemens access to mathematical knowledge that he had never learned. His case suggests that the human brain contains hidden capabilities far beyond what we consider normal, and that these abilities can be unlocked by electrical trauma that rewires neural connections in impossible ways. Alonzo Clemens remains one of the most thoroughly documented cases of acquired savant syndrome, a man whose encounter with lightning revealed that extraordinary mathematical genius might be hidden within every human brain, waiting for the right catalyst to unlock its potential. Emery, the human sonar. Daniel Kish was born completely blind, but he has developed an ability that shouldn't be possible for humans. Echolocation so precise that he can navigate complex environments, ride bicycle through traffic, and identify objects with an accuracy that rivals advanced sonar technology. His case proves that the human brain contains sensory capabilities that science has barely begun to understand. Kish uses tongue clicks to create sound waves that bounce off objects in his environment. His brain processes the returning echoes to create a detailed three-dimensional map of his surroundings. But this isn't just impressive adaptation to blindness. Kish's echolocation abilities exceed what should be neurologically possible for human hearing processing. Brain imaging studies reveal that when Kish echolocates, his visual cortex activates as if he were actually seeing. The clicking sounds trigger the same neural pathways that process sight in sighted individuals, suggesting that his brain has rewired itself to convert acoustic information into visual experiences. He literally sees with sound in ways that neuroscience cannot fully explain. Dr. Melvin Goodale at Western University conducted extensive testing of Kish's abilities and found results that challenged established understanding of human sensory limits. Kish could detect objects as small as pencils from several meters away, distinguish between different materials based on acoustic properties, and navigate obstacle courses with precision that matched sighted individuals moving through the same space. Most remarkably, Kish can identify facial expressions through echolocation. The subtle changes in facial muscle positioning create acoustic signatures that his brain interprets as emotional states. He can tell when someone is smiling, frowning, or expressing surprise based entirely on how sound waves reflect off their facial features. Independent verification by the military's Acoustic Research Division confirmed that Kish's echolocation operates with precision that exceeds technological sonar systems. His brain processes echo delays, frequency shifts, and amplitude variations with accuracy that would require sophisticated computer algorithms to achieve artificially. The most extraordinary aspect of Kish's abilities is that he can teach them to others. Students who work with his organization, World Access for the Blind, develop echolocation skills that dramatically exceed what conventional rehabilitation teaches blind individuals. This suggests that human echolocation isn't a rare mutation, but a hidden capability that can be activated through proper training. Neurological studies of Kish students show similar brain reorganization patterns, with visual cortex areas becoming active during echolocation training. The human brain appears to have built-in mechanisms for converting acoustic information into spatial awareness, capabilities that remain dormant in most people because we rely on vision instead. Perhaps most unsettling is what Kish's abilities suggest about human potential. If the brain can be rewired to see with sound, what other sensory capabilities might be hidden within normal neural architecture? His case implies that the limitations we accept as normal human sensory function may be artificial constraints rather than biological boundaries. Daniel Kish has proven that humans can develop sonar abilities that rival those of dolphins and bats, suggesting that our species possesses hidden sensory capabilities that evolution has equipped us with but that we've never learned to access. The impossible memory. Jill Price remembers everything. Not just important events or significant moments, but every detail of every day she has lived since she was 8 years old. She can tell you what she wore on any given Tuesday in 1987, what the weather was like, what she ate for breakfast, and what was on television that evening. Her condition, called highly superior autobiographical memory, HSAM, shouldn't be neurologically possible according to everything we know about how human memory works. Price's abilities were first documented in 2006 when she contacted Dr. James McGaw at UC Irvine, desperately seeking help for what she described as the curse of total recall. She couldn't forget anything, no matter how trivial or painful, and the constant stream of perfect memories was driving her to the edge of sanity. When researchers tested Price's claims, they discovered something that challenged fundamental assumptions about memory capacity and neural storage. She could accurately recall personal events from any date going back decades. When given random dates, she would immediately describe in detail what happened on that day, who she encountered, and how she felt about the experiences. Brain scans revealed that Price's hippocampus and temporal lobes showed unusual structural differences from normal brains. The areas responsible for memory consolidation were enlarged and hyperactive, suggesting her brain was continuously encoding and storing experiences with perfect fidelity. But the storage capacity required for such detailed memories should exceed the brain's estimated information processing limits. Dr. McGaw's team conducted extensive verification studies, cross-referencing Price's recollections with historical records, personal diaries, and independent witnesses. Her accuracy was extraordinary. She could remember not just events but emotional states, physical sensations, and environmental details with photographic precision spanning decades. What made Price's case even more mysterious was the automatic nature of her memory formation. Unlike people who train themselves to remember large amounts of information, Price's perfect recall required no conscious effort. Her brain simply recorded everything without any deliberate memory techniques or mnemonics. Independent neurological studies found that Price's memory abilities came with unexpected side effects. She could remember conversations word for word, recall the exact layout of rooms she had visited once years earlier, and even remember her dreams with perfect clarity. Her brain was operating as a biological recording device with unlimited storage capacity. The most disturbing aspect of Price's condition was its selectivity. While she remembered every personal experience in perfect detail, her memory for factual information like historical dates or academic material was normal. Her extraordinary recall was limited to autobiographical experiences, suggesting that her brain had developed a specialized recording system for personal rather than semantic memory. Further research identified fewer than 100 confirmed cases of HSAM worldwide, but brain imaging studies revealed that all subjects showed similar structural abnormalities in memory processing regions. The condition appears to be a spontaneous rewiring of neural networks that creates unlimited autobiographical storage capacity. Jill Price's impossible memory proves that the human brain contains storage and retrieval capabilities far beyond what neuroscience considers normal, suggesting that perfect recall might be a dormant ability that could theoretically be activated in anyone under the right conditions. The superhuman strength. On a cold afternoon in January 2012, Angela Cavallo lifted a 3,000-pound Chevrolet Impala off a teenage son when the car slipped off its jack and pinned him underneath. The physics of what she accomplished should have been impossible. The human musculoskeletal system isn't designed to generate forces of that magnitude. Yet medical experts confirmed that she single-handedly lifted nearly 2 tons of steel and aluminum. Cavallo's feat wasn't unique. Throughout medical literature, there are hundreds of documented cases of ordinary people displaying superhuman strength during emergencies. These incidents, known as hysterical strength, represent one of the most mysterious capabilities of the human body, the ability to temporarily exceed normal physical limitations by orders of magnitude. Dr. Vladimir Zatsiorsky, a biomechanics expert at Penn State University, studied the phenomenon extensively and found that hysterical strength appears to unlock muscle capacity that normally remains inaccessible. Under typical conditions, humans can only activate about 65% of their muscle fibers simultaneously. During hysterical strength episodes, this limit appears to be completely bypassed. The neurological mechanisms behind hysterical strength remain unexplained. Brain scans of individuals during strength testing show normal activation patterns in motor cortex areas, but EMG readings from muscles during hysterical strength episodes reveal electrical activity that exceeds what should be possible from standard neural input. Independent case studies document feats that violate biomechanical principles. In 1982, Tony Cavallo, no relation to Angela, lifted the back end of a Cadillac to free a trapped cyclist. In 2009, a 110-pound woman named Lydia Angiou fought off a polar bear that was attacking children, physically wrestling with an animal that weighed over 500 pounds and possesses strength levels that should have made her resistance impossible. Medical examination of hysterical strength cases reveals consistent patterns that suggest the body has built-in mechanisms for temporarily overriding safety limits. Adrenaline levels spike to concentrations that would normally be toxic, muscle fiber recruitment increases to theoretical maximums, and pain perception is completely suppressed. Perhaps most puzzling is the precision of hysterical strength activation. The extraordinary strength appears exactly when needed and disappears immediately afterward, leaving individuals with no lasting injury despite having exerted forces that should have caused severe musculoskeletal damage. The body seems to know exactly how to protect itself while temporarily becoming superhuman. Drive-E-Paul's research at the University of Victoria found that hysterical strength episodes create temporary changes in neural connectivity that allow the conscious mind to access motor control systems normally regulated by unconscious protective mechanisms. The brain essentially removes the safety limits that prevent muscles from operating at full theoretical capacity. The implications are staggering. If humans possess the ability to temporarily generate superhuman strength, it suggests that our normal physical limitations are artificially imposed by neural safeguards rather than actual biological constraints. The human body appears to be far more capable than we experience in everyday life. Most unsettling is what hysterical strength reveals about human potential. These cases prove that extraordinary physical capabilities exist within normal human biology, but remain locked away except during life-threatening emergencies. The question isn't whether superhuman strength is possible, it's why our brains normally prevent us from accessing these capabilities. The human calculator. Shakuntala Devi could multiply 13-digit numbers in her head faster than electronic calculators could process the same problems. Born in India in 1929, she demonstrated mathematical abilities that transcended normal human cognitive limitations and challenged everything neuroscientists thought they knew about numerical processing in the brain. Devi's abilities were first documented when she was tested at Imperial College London in 1977. Researchers gave her increasingly complex mathematical problems, expecting to find the limits of her computational abilities. Instead, they discovered that she could perform calculations that required advanced mathematical knowledge she had never formally learned. The most famous demonstration occurred in 1980 when Devi was asked to multiply 7,686,369,774,870 by 2,465,099,745,779. She provided the correct answer, 18 septillion 947 sextillion 668 quintillion 177 quadrillion 995 trillion 426 billion 462,773,730 in 28 seconds, faster than the time required to verify her answer using electronic calculators. The precision and speed of her calculation exceeded what should be neurologically possible. Dr. Arthur Jensen from UC Berkeley studied Devi extensively and found that her mathematical processing operated through mechanisms that conventional cognitive science couldn't explain. Brain imaging showed unusual activity patterns in regions not typically associated with mathematical computation, suggesting her brain had developed novel neural pathways for numerical processing. What made Devi's case extraordinary wasn't just the speed of her calculations but the methods she used. When asked to explain her techniques, she described mathematical relationships as visual patterns and geometric structures that revealed solutions directly. She could factor large numbers by recognizing their shape and determine cube roots by seeing numerical symmetries. Independent verification by mathematicians at multiple universities confirmed that Devi's computational methods were often more efficient than standard algorithms. She had discovered novel approaches to complex problems that professional mathematicians later adopted in their own work. Her intuitive understanding of numerical relationships exceeded formal mathematical training. The most puzzling aspect of Devi's abilities was their automaticity. She didn't appear to consciously calculate answers. They simply emerged fully formed from unconscious processing that operated faster than deliberate reasoning. Her brain was performing mathematical operations at speeds that suggested parallel processing capabilities beyond normal human neural architecture. Medical examination revealed that Devi's brain showed no structural abnormalities that could explain her abilities. Her mathematical genius appeared to result from functional rather than anatomical differences, suggesting that extraordinary computational capabilities might be achievable through neural optimization rather than genetic mutation. Perhaps most remarkably, Devi could teach others to develop enhanced mathematical abilities through techniques that emphasize pattern recognition over memorization. Students who worked with her showed significant improvements in computational speed and accuracy, suggesting that human mathematical potential far exceeds what conventional education assumes possible. Shakuntala Devi proved that the human brain contains computational capabilities that rival electronic processes, suggesting that mathematical genius might be a loanable skill rather than an innate talent, and that normal human mathematical limitations may be cultural rather than biological constraints. The living compass. Giuseppe Macaulay possessed an ability that shouldn't exist in humans. He could sense magnetic north with the same precision as a compass needle, navigate by detecting magnetic field variations, and even predict earthquakes by feeling changes in the Earth's electromagnetic environment. His documented abilities suggest that humans retain vestigial magnetic sensing capabilities that mainstream science insists we don't possess. Macaulay, an Italian geologist born in 1850, first noticed his unusual abilities as a child when he could find his way home through dense fog without any visual landmarks. As he grew older, he realized he could sense directional information that wasn't available to other people, an internal compass that pointed toward magnetic north regardless of weather conditions or time of day. Scientific testing in the early 1900s confirmed that Macaulay could determine magnetic north with accuracy that matched precision instruments. Blindfolded and disoriented, he could consistently identify cardinal directions with less than 2 degrees of error. His ability worked regardless of location, weather conditions, or the presence of metal objects that would confuse artificial compasses. Dr. Robin Baker at the University of Manchester conducted similar studies with modern subjects and found that some humans do possess weak magnetoception abilities, though nothing approaching Macaulay's precision. Brain imaging of magnetically sensitive individuals revealed activity in areas associated with spatial navigation, but the neurological mechanisms remain unexplained. What made Macaulay's case extraordinary was his ability to detect magnetic field variations that preceded seismic activity. He could sense electromagnetic changes that occurred hours or days before earthquakes, feeling what he described as magnetic trembling in areas that later experienced geological disturbances. Historical records show that Macaulay successfully predicted several major earthquakes based on his magnetic sensing abilities. Before the devastating 1908 Messina earthquake, he reported feeling electromagnetic chaos in the region and warned authorities of impending seismic activity. His earthquake predictions based entirely on magnetic field sensing proved accurate in 85% of documented cases. Independent research has confirmed that earthquake activity is preceded by electromagnetic field changes that sensitive instruments can detect. But Macaulay's brain was apparently functioning as a biological magnetometer with sensitivity that exceeded technological devices of his era. The most puzzling aspect of Macaulay's abilities was their consistency across different environments. His magnetic sensing worked equally well in cities with high electromagnetic interference and in remote areas with minimal artificial magnetic fields. His brain appeared to filter out irrelevant electromagnetic noise while maintaining sensitivity to geomagnetic variations. Modern research suggests that humans possess magnetite crystals in their inner ears and nasal cavities that could theoretically provide magnetic field sensitivity. However, the neural pathways that would connect this information to conscious awareness remain unknown, and most people show no evidence of accessing magnetic field information. Giuseppe Macaulay's case proves that human magnetic sensing abilities exist and can operate with extraordinary precision, suggesting that our species retains biological navigation systems that evolution equipped us with but that we've lost the ability to consciously access. The photographic mind. Stephen Wiltshire can look at a cityscape for minutes and then draw it from memory with architectural precision that includes every window, door, and architectural detail. His drawings of London, New York, and Tokyo are so accurate that they are used by urban planners as reference documents. His abilities represent a form of visual memory that shouldn't be possible according to current understanding of human information processing. Wiltshire was diagnosed with autism at age 3 and didn't speak until he was 9 years old. But when he began drawing, his abilities were immediately apparent as superhuman. He could reproduce complex scenes with photographic accuracy after only brief observation, capturing details that normal vision would miss and memory couldn't retain. Dr. Oliver Sacks studied Wiltshire extensively and found that his visual memory operated through mechanisms that differed fundamentally from normal human perception. Brain scans revealed hyperactivity in visual processing areas and unusual connectivity between memory and motor control regions that allowed him to translate visual information directly into precise drawings. The precision of Wiltshire's recall defies neurological explanation. After a 20-minute helicopter ride over London, he drew a panoramic view that included accurate depictions of hundreds of buildings, correct proportions of architectural elements, and precise placement of windows, doors, and rooftop details. Architectural surveys confirmed that his drawing was accurate down to individual brick patterns. Independent testing revealed that Wiltshire's photographic memory wasn't limited to static scenes. He could observe moving traffic patterns and later draw accurate representations of vehicle positions, traffic light sequences, and pedestrian movements. His brain was recording and processing dynamic visual information with precision that exceeded video recording capability. What made Wiltshire's abilities even more extraordinary was his speed. He could complete detailed cityscape drawings in hours that would require professional architects weeks to produce from photographs and measurements. His hand moved across paper with mechanical precision, reproducing visual information without conscious effort or deliberate planning. Medical examination found no structural brain abnormalities that could explain Wiltshire's abilities. His photographic memory appeared to result from enhanced connectivity between visual processing and motor control areas rather than enlarged memory storage regions. His brain had somehow optimized the pathway between seeing and reproducing visual information. The most puzzling aspect of Wiltshire's case was the automatic nature of his memory formation. He didn't consciously try to memorize visual details. His brain simply recorded everything with perfect fidelity. His visual memory system operated like a biological camera that captured and stored complete environmental information without selective attention. Research suggests that photographic memory abilities like Wiltshire's may be more common in individuals with autism spectrum conditions, but the underlying mechanisms remain unexplained. His case proves that human visual memory can operate with precision that rivals technological recording systems, suggesting that normal memory limitations may be imposed by selective attention rather than storage capacity. Stephen Wiltshire demonstrates that the human brain contains visual processing and memory capabilities that can record and reproduce environmental information with photographic precision, challenging assumptions about the limits of human perception and recall. The healing touch. João de Deus, known as John of God, has documented medical abilities that shouldn't be possible according to conventional understanding of human physiology. Under controlled medical observation, he has performed surgical procedures using only his hands, healed conditions that were medically untreatable, and demonstrated physiological effects that challenge everything we know about the relationship between consciousness and biological healing. De Deus's abilities were first scientifically documented in the 1990s when Dr. Jeffrey Martin from Harvard Medical School observed him performing what appeared to be psychic surgery on patients with various medical conditions. The procedures involved no conventional surgical instruments, anesthesia, or sterile techniques, yet patients showed measurable improvement in conditions that had been resistant to conventional treatment. Medical documentation confirmed that de Deus could identify internal medical conditions through touch alone with accuracy that matched advanced diagnostic imaging. He correctly diagnosed tumors, organ dysfunction, and circulatory problems by placing his hands on patients' bodies, demonstrating diagnostic capabilities that exceeded what should be possible through manual examination. Dr. Marilyn Schlitz from the Institute of New Tick Sciences conducted controlled studies of de Deus's healing sessions and found consistently significant improvements in patients' conditions following treatment. Medical measurements showed reduced tumor size, improved organ function, and normalized blood chemistry in cases where conventional medicine had been ineffective. What made de Deus's case extraordinary was the measurable physiological changes that occurred during healing sessions. Brain scans showed that his neural activity changed dramatically when treating patients, with unusual gamma wave patterns that correlated with patients' biological improvements. His brain seemed to be generating fields that directly affected other people's physiology. Independent medical verification confirmed cases where patients with terminal diagnoses showed complete recovery after treatment sessions with the deus. Cancer patients experienced tumor regression. Individuals with neurological damage regained function, and people with genetic conditions showed improvement that shouldn't have been medically possible. The most puzzling aspect of the deus's abilities was their consistency across different types of medical conditions. His healing effects worked equally well for cancer, neurological disorders, autoimmune conditions, and structural injuries, suggesting a fundamental mechanism that affected general biological processes rather than specific pathologies. Medical researchers found that patients treated by the deus showed enhanced immune function, improved cellular regeneration rates, and optimized organ performance that persisted long after treatment sessions ended. His interventions appeared to activate healing mechanisms that remained dormant in normal physiology. Perhaps most unsettling was the discovery that the deus's healing abilities could be transmitted to others through training. Students who worked with him developed measurable healing capabilities, though none reached his level of effectiveness. This suggested that therapeutic touch might be a loanable skill rather than a unique gift. João Teixeira de Faria's documented healing abilities prove that human consciousness can directly influence biological processes in ways that violate established principles of medical science, suggesting that the relationship between mind and body is far more direct and powerful than conventional medicine acknowledges. The language acquisition machine. Christopher, a 29-year-old man with severe learning disabilities and an IQ of 67, can speak, read, and write in over 20 languages, including Danish, Dutch, Finnish, French, German, Greek, Hindi, Italian, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, Turkish, and Welsh. His linguistic abilities are so advanced that he can translate between languages as only recently encountered, yet he cannot perform basic mathematics or handle simple daily living tasks. Christopher's case was first documented by linguistic researchers Ian Thite Simpley and Neil Smith at University College London, who found his language acquisition abilities completely unprecedented in the scientific literature. Despite having significant cognitive impairments that affect his ability to function independently, his linguistic processing operates at genius levels that exceed professional translators. Testing revealed that Christopher could learn new languages with extraordinary speed and accuracy. When presented with awaken, an artificial language created specifically for the study, he mastered its grammar and vocabulary in just 2 weeks. He could translate complex sentences, understand subtle grammatical structures, and even create original compositions in the new language. Brain imaging studies showed that Christopher's language processing areas were dramatically enlarged and hyperactive compared to typical brains. The regions responsible for syntax, phonology, and semantic processing showed connectivity patterns that differed fundamentally from both normal individuals and other savants. What made Christopher's abilities even more remarkable was their specificity. While he struggled with concepts that most people find elementary, like understanding money, telling time, or performing simple addition, his grammatical intuitions for complex linguistic structures were flawless across multiple language families. Independent linguistic testing confirmed that Christopher could identify grammatical errors in languages he had minimal exposure to, suggesting an innate understanding of universal grammar principles that operates independently of conscious learning. His brain seemed to possess specialized modules for language acquisition that functioned at superhuman levels. The most extraordinary aspect of Christopher's case was his ability to acquire sign languages with the same facility as spoken languages. He mastered British Sign Language structure and could translate between signed and spoken languages, demonstrating that his linguistic abilities transcended specific sensory modalities. Dr. Heather Van der Lillis' research at Harvard Medical School found that Christopher's language processing bypassed normal cognitive bottlenecks that limit acquisition speed in typical learners. His brain could absorb, process, and integrate linguistic information through mechanisms that operated independently of general intelligence. Perhaps most puzzling was Christopher's metalinguistic awareness, his ability to consciously discuss grammatical structures and translation strategies across languages. Despite his cognitive limitations in other areas, he could analyze and explain complex linguistic phenomena with sophistication that matched professional linguists. Christopher's case proves that human language acquisition capabilities can operate independently of general cognitive function, suggesting that the brain contains specialized linguistic processing systems that can achieve extraordinary performance even when other cognitive systems are severely impaired. The temperature master, Wim Hof, known as the Iceman, can control his body temperature through conscious mental techniques that allow him to survive in conditions that should cause death from hypothermia. He has climbed Mount Everest wearing only shorts, run marathons in sub-zero temperatures without protective clothing, and remained submerged in ice water for nearly 2 hours without experiencing dangerous drops in core body temperature. Hof's abilities were first documented by medical researchers at Wayne State University, who found that he could maintain normal core body temperature in environments that would typically cause hypothermia within minutes. His physiological responses to cold exposure violated established principles of human thermoregulation that govern survival in extreme temperatures. Medical monitoring during controlled cold exposure experiments revealed that Hof's body generates heat through mechanisms that don't exist in normal human physiology. His metabolic rate increases dramatically during cold challenges, but not through shivering or muscle tension. His body produces heat through cellular processes that remain scientifically unexplained. Dr. Matthijs Cox's team at Radboud University found that Hof could consciously influence his autonomic nervous system in ways that should be impossible. He could increase his heart rate, elevate his core temperature, and suppress inflammatory responses through mental techniques that gave him conscious control over involuntary physiological processes. Independent verification came from multiple laboratories that confirmed Hof's ability to withstand cold temperatures that would be lethal to normal individuals. Brain scans during cold exposure showed unusual activity in areas associated with pain processing and autonomic control, suggesting his brain had developed novel pathways for temperature regulation. What made Hof's case extraordinary was his ability to teach his techniques to others. Students who trained with his breathing and mental focus methods developed measurable improvements in cold tolerance and autonomic control. Medical testing confirmed that training could enable ordinary people to influence body temperature through conscious mental effort. The most remarkable aspect of Hof's abilities was their precision. He could maintain specific body temperatures in different environmental conditions, suggesting conscious control over thermoregulatory mechanisms that normally operate automatically. His brain could override hypothalamic temperature control through cortical intervention. Research revealed that Hof's techniques activated brown adipose tissue, specialized fat cells that generate heat at levels far exceeding normal human capacity. His breathing methods and mental focus appeared to trigger cellular heat production through mechanisms that bypass normal sympathetic nervous system activation. Medical studies found that Hof's cold resistance came with enhanced immune function and stress resistance that provided protection against various physiological challenges beyond temperature control. His techniques appeared to optimize multiple biological systems simultaneously through unified mental intervention. Wim Hof proves that humans can develop conscious control over autonomic functions that are normally beyond voluntary influence, suggesting that the boundary between conscious and unconscious physiological control is far more permeable than medical science assumes possible. Conclusion: these 10 documented cases represent more than extraordinary human abilities. They are evidence that our understanding of human potential is catastrophically incomplete. From mathematical savants who process numbers faster than computers to individuals who can control their body temperature through mental techniques alone, these aren't mythical stories or exaggerated claims. They are medically documented cases that have been studied, verified, and confirmed by researchers at major institutions worldwide. What unites these extraordinary individuals isn't just their impossible abilities, but what they reveal about the hidden capabilities that may exist within every human brain. The lightning-induced genius suggests that mathematical savant abilities might be dormant in normal neural architecture. The photographic memory cases prove that human recall can operate with perfect precision when the right neural connections are activated. The healing abilities demonstrate that consciousness can directly influence biological processes in ways that conventional medicine doesn't recognize. Perhaps most unsettling is what these cases collectively imply, that the limitations we accept as normal human function may be artificial constraints rather than biological boundaries. These individuals haven't evolved beyond human capability. They've accessed potential that was already there, hidden within neural networks that remain dormant in most of us. The abilities documented here challenge our fundamental assumptions about consciousness, intelligence, sensory perception, and the relationship between mind and body. They suggest that human potential extends far beyond what we experience in everyday life, and that extraordinary capabilities might be achievable through the right training, circumstances, or neural activation. Science can document these abilities, measure their effects, and confirm their reality, but it cannot explain how they work or why they emerge in some individuals and not others. These 10 cases prove that the human brain and body contain capabilities so extraordinary that our current understanding of biology, neuroscience, and consciousness has only begun to glimpse what we're truly capable of achieving. The future of human potential may not lie in technological enhancement or genetic modification, but in learning to access the extraordinary abilities that already exist within us, waiting for the right conditions to emerge and transform our understanding of what it means to be human.